if you're out here looking for Candyman. You ask me, stay away.
Candyman more than earns its place as a decades-later sequel. While director Nia DaCosta's modern update of a black horror landmark certainly pays homage to the existing saga, it also digs deeper into the mythos, unearthing volatile ideas that had always lurked just beneath the series' surface. The result is inventive, introspective, and, above all, unsettling.
This is where it all began. The story of Candyman.
The fourth Candyman movie, co-written by DaCosta, Wynn Rosenfield, and Jordan Peele, takes many of its cues from prior entries in the series, and not just from characters and events shown on screen. The story makes the fascinating decision to lean into some of the more socio-economic ideas explored in the previous movies, while still treating the Candyman himself as a supernatural entity summoned by ritual. It explores how the myth was kept alive by the residents of Chicago's Cabrini Green housing project in ways that both mirror the first film and in ways that skillfully subvert it. Speaking of the titular Candyman, this movie finally approaches him as something more complex than a vicious, albeit sympathetic monster whose narrative purpose is, ironically, to be slain once more. In the previous three movies from the 90s, the Candyman was a vengeful honeybee-infested spirit who represented unconfronted sins from a century prior. But the new film makes the case that those sins never truly ended. The past can only stay hidden for so long, and once the mirror ritual makes its way back out into the world, its resurgence is a treat. Candyman is by no means a mystery to the audience, as DaCosta rightfully treats the mere presence of honeybees as ominous, but the film's violence is deliciously mysterious. It can be shocking and stark, and it can also be tongue-in-cheek, depending on who's at the other end of the meat hook. But what separates it from prior entries is that the kills are rarely shown from the perspective of the people who summon Candyman. Initially, the violence is presented from an outsider's point of view, with victims left at the mercy of an unseen force as we watch helplessly from a distance. The film withholds its slasher moments for about as long as the original did. Meanwhile, it bides its time with a creeping slow burn exploration of spaces and the way people and their stories are shaped by their environments. It does much of this exploration through its protagonist Anthony, who was kidnapped as a baby by the Candyman in the 1992 original. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II plays this all-grown-up version of him, which finds him living as an artist in a gentrified Chicago neighborhood with his girlfriend Brianna, played by Tiana Paris. In an interesting twist, the Candyman myth, as well as what happened to him as a baby, had been hidden from Anthony. Once he discovers more about it, though, he inadvertently falls into the same cycle as the series' other protagonists, whose investigations were often from an outsider's perspective. Abdul-Mateen's portrayal is no doubt sympathetic, as there's a sense of desperation to Anthony's search, but he also crafts a character who reeks of a familiar outsider arrogance. At first, the Candyman story and its painful legacy are simply source material for him to exploit. The film in key moments critiques this approach to art and turns the camera on itself as if to question the purpose of telling stories of black pain in the first place. DaCosta and Peele are the first black storytellers to put their stamp on Candyman, and they bring a thoughtfulness to the material which previous entries lacked, both narratively and visually. Anthony's investigations into the Candyman story lead to an unexpected conclusion that feels both satisfying and uniquely bone-chilling. Without erasing what came before it, the film pushes the character and his mythology in a fascinating new direction, which not only has the potential to reestablish him as a fixture of pop culture, but which acts as a vital course correction, reclaiming who gets to tell the story of blackness in American cinema.
I dare you.
Part homage, part modern update, the new Candyman film by Nia DaCosta is a creeping descent into a violent past which refuses to stay hidden. Like prior films in the series, it adds new wrinkles to the urban legend, but it also remixes the mythology in ways that are both surprising and completely fitting. For more, check out our reviews of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and The Richer Nightmare of the Wolf. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
He has purpose for you.
Tell everyone. New to the neighborhood.
You should say it.
Candyman.
Say his name.